Okay, today we're going to fly to Newport, Oregon. That's KONP. So let's go ahead and load the GPS. Notice we're on here, we're on GNAV1. That stands for GPS Navigator. So that means everything's coming from the Avidyne IFD550 in the plane. So I'm going to go ahead and move the cursor down, hit enter, and I'm going to select KONP. Notice how it already did that. So this is going to take us direct from OR40 to Newport, Oregon, KONP. Notice it's 72 miles. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the checklist. Brakes are set. Seat belts checked. Okay, co-pilot door. We're going to double check that. Reach around to the back. That's good. Pilot door. Pilot door is good. Flight controls free and correct. Everything's good there. Altimeter. Notice the altimeter currently is at 120 feet. We're at 200 here. So if I just hold in the barrow knob here, it automatically sets using GPS altitude, which is 220 feet here. So we can check that off. Fuel selector, we're on the right tank. Mixture is rich. Elevator trim right here, it is neutral, so we're good there. Now we're going to go ahead and throttle up to 1800 and we'll check the mags. I'm going to go a little higher than 1800 because of the governor. Okay, let's check the mags. There's both, left, both, right, back to both, and we'll cycle the prop a couple times. There it goes. Okay, throttle back to idle. Notice we have good oil pressure. Okay. Radios are set. So notice if I leave the checklist page, currently this is the audio panel. So right now we're transmitting on COM 1, receiving on COM 1. If we wanted to listen to COM 2 also, we could just push that. And if we pushed on the transmit side, it would move both to COM 2. So I'm going to go ahead and move it back to 1, COM 1. If we wanted to bring up the whole audio panel, we could do that by touching the center. And this is where you can adjust muting. So I've got no muting for the radio. I've got every ICS is in or non, we're on all. There's isolate, the pilot, crew, pilot, co-pilot are all. Intercom volume, music volume, this is where you can select the music. Pilot, we can select through each music, and we're just going to turn off the music, so we're going to select none. And we can also adjust the radio, or select the radios here. So we're on COM 1. Notice that the radio display, we can display either radio. So right now it's on COM 1, which is the Avidyne. COM 2 is the Garmin GTN 650XI. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to COM 1. And notice we are on 122.7. Notice it's green. If I selected COM 2, it would be white. Whichever transmitter is selected, so in this case COM 1, is going to be green. So if I switched over to COM 2, now COM 2 is green. I'll go back and select the middle, go back to COM 1. Let's go back to COM 1. Notice it turns green. So that's a way you can glance at it and actually see which one's if it's active or not in your transmitter. Okay, so let's go back to the checklist. Radios are set. Turn on the boost pump. Transponder is on ground mode. It is. We got 1 notch of flaps. That's good. And we're going to double check the doors. Okay, and we'll turn on the wig-wag lights. Okay, we're ready to go. We'll go out here and make a radio call. Dietz Airpark traffic, RV-402 Romeo Hotel, departing 3-4 with the right turnout, Dietz Airpark. I don't see anybody. Pattern's clear. All right, we're ready to go. Now that altitude call out is from the radar altimeter that's mounted on the bottom of the wing. Okay, I brought the flaps up. We're climbing 1,100 feet per minute. All right, we're now 500 feet. I'm going to pull back on the manifold pressure back to 25 as I turn to the east, and we're going to pull the prop back to 2,500 and continue climbing. Notice the background of the map. That's yellow because we're within 1,000 feet of the terrain. Red would mean we're below the terrain level. Notice here's an airplane. He's 800 feet above us, and this is where he will be in 2 minutes. So we're going to keep bringing it around here. We're going to just continue to climb. Notice the Avidyne automatically activated direct Newport, and the leg is now magenta on the map. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to, I think we'll go up to like 3,500 feet. Okay, let's go ahead and turn on the autopilot. There's a couple ways. I can push the autopilot button here. I could touch the middle of the autopilot and turn it on here. So there, autopilot's engaged. Notice currently it's in track mode, which means it's going to follow the GPS ground track. If I adjust the heading bug, which is the track bug in this place, it'll draw on the map where it's going to be. Heading, if I change to heading, notice it changes it to yellow. That means magnetic heading. I find track is just kind of smoother and better. We're going to watch for this guy. Altitude mode means it's going to climb to the altitude. We're in vertical speed climbing mode. And VNAV is armed, but we're not in nav mode, means it would follow the flight plan. We don't want to do that because it would cut right through Aurora's airspace. So let's go ahead and turn left so we don't hit this traffic here. So currently our vertical speed, if I hit this bug, is at 500 feet a minute, which is these two teal bugs, and we're going to 3,500 feet. Notice that if I bring a map in here, this zooms and not on the main screen. If I use two fingers to swipe it off, it runs the remote screen, so that's kind of a handy feature. Notice we're climbing up toward him. We can go ahead and kind of follow him around. So as you notice, I move the track bug. There's a couple ways to do that. I could actually just turn the track bug and watch it. I could hit the track and then I could type it in on the touch screen, or I could type it in here. So if I wanted to go 190, there's buttons on the bottom. There, 190, we'll go 190 now. Now this plane has all electronic circuit breakers. I can bring them up on any screen. I'll go ahead and if I hit check, electrical, notice all the circuit breakers. You see every channel. If it had tripped, it would turn red and we get an audio alert. And it also tells you each channel how many amps they're drawing. Notice the right and left is flashing back and forth. That's because we're in wigwag landing light mode. So you can see they turn on and off. You can see that do that. So let's hit back. Okay, we're kind of around Aurora's airspace. Let's go ahead and turn west. Now if I just hit direct nav mode right now on the autopilot, it would fly over and intercept the magenta line and then follow it to Newport. I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to go down to my Avidyne, I'm going to move the cursor up to Newport, and I'm going to hit direct to enter activate. What that does is it removes the cross-track error, and you'll see it jump in here. Now, we're still flying track mode here though, right on the line. Let's go ahead and switch it to nav mode. So you could do it on here, or let's bring it up so we know. If I bring it up here, I'm going to push nav, and notice it turns green. So now it's actually following the flight plan. And notice that the autopilot status went magenta, meaning it's on a GPS nav course, and it says lateral nav GPSS. The altitude's still on following the altitude bug. Notice how the plane is tilted slightly. That's because we have a wind and it's kind of crabbing into the wind to follow the ground track. Alright, so this is the next leg of the flight plan. It's on all the screens. We're 65 miles away. We're going to be there in 24 minutes. And we've leveled off at our altitude bug, 3,500. So this would be a good time to call up Portland Approach. So at COM 1, let's go ahead and hit standby. I'm going to hit nearest KUAO, and I'm going to put ATC. which we want 1260. Notice I put it in standby, and then I could hit transfer or touch there. Now we're listening to Portland Approach on the Avidyne. Notice it's green here. So if we were curious about this is Salem, I can pan with, if I touch that, it tells you the airspace. Class D, surface to 2,700 feet. If we wanted to bring up a sectional, I could just touch the hamburger icon here and bring up a sectional. I usually like flying with our normal chart, so I'm going to bring that back. All these different airplanes, where it's going to be in 2 minutes, 1,700 feet below us. Notice the end number. This one's 1,900 feet above us. All right, so let's go down, highlight on Newport, and I'm going to hit procedure. We're going to do the RNAV 16 approach. Enter, and we are going to do boiler as the initial approach fix. I'm going to turn that off. So I'm going to move the cursor down and say direct boiler, activate. Now you're going to see it move. If I zoom right in, there's boiler. So it's going to turn to the right a bit. Notice the current leg is magenta, the next leg is candy striped. Notice here on the Avidyne it says cross boiler at or above 3,700. So let's go a little bit higher. So I'm going to hit altitude bug. I'm going to go to 3,700. So we'll already be there. Currently it's 0019 Zulu. If I wanted to change that, I could touch that, and I could actually say 12 hour. So it's 4:19 p.m. at our time. So on any screen you can touch that at any time to adjust it or select it. Now that's a good question. If we were, so this time is only to our next waypoint, boiler. We're 18 minutes away. If we bring up the whole flight plan on any of the screen, notice it adds everything up. We're actually 80 miles. We're actually 80 miles from Newport, counting all the legs, and we're 29 minutes. So we'll be at Newport in 29 minutes. So we have our approach loaded. Next thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and bring up the approach plate so we can brief that. So I'm going to hit hamburger icon, bring up Newport approach plates. GPS 16 is on top. I'm just going to hit select. So there's where we're going. Direct boiler, 3,700 feet, which is what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and set the LPV approach. It's going to be 402 feet is our minimums. So let's go ahead and set that. I'm going to hit set. Minimum altitude 420. There we go. I'm going to put it, there we go. So our current altitude bug is 3,700. Minimums is at 420. Go back. Notice it remembers where we were. So this is the regular map. If we go back to approach plate, it remembers where we zoomed, panned, where it was. So we're going to have to kind of watch for this guy. He's 200 feet above us. Currently we're doing 148, 49 knots indicated airspeed, 158 knots true airspeed. So that's using OAT and altitude to calculate it for you. And the ground speed is 167, 168 knots. So we got a tailwind. This here is calculating the wind. You can see the crosswind and what the components are. Since we're in lateral GPSS mode, let's go ahead and bring up the autopilot and look at the other settings. VNAV is yellow, which means it's in arm. That's what we want. As soon as it captures the glide slope, it will automatically turn green and it'll slide the glide slope down to the minimums. And let's climb up a bit to clear the mountain. So we're going to go ahead and go up to 4,500 feet. So I just turned the knob to 4,500. And I'm watching those. Now notice the green banana here pop up. That's where we're going to be on the map when our altitude is at the altitude bug. So it will be at 4,500 feet at that point on the map. Alright, so this is our original track line. What I want to do is go direct boiler. So I'm going to hit direct to enter on the Avidyne. It'll take the error out of it, move the needle right in. There, did it. And let's go back to nav mode. So we could bring this up, actually select nav. Notice it turns green.
Out to the west, Lebanon.
Okay. Now, if we pan forward and look, it's going to have us do a course reverse or a hold. I'm going to go ahead and skip that. So I'm going to move down on it and say hold. And on the Avidyne, there's a delete hold button. So now we're going to delete the hold. And it'll just do a full left turn right there. So the current leg's magenta, the next leg is candy stripe, and then the next following legs are white. The mist are all gray.
Helicopter 603 Hotel, we have weather for Aurora.
Go ahead and turn on the flight director. The flight director is actually tied in with the autopilot. So notice the wings are magenta because we're in a GPS nav mode, and the tips are teal because we're on a teal altitude bug at 4,500 feet.
Okay, 3027, and I've got 2,500.
So reviewing it, we want a cross boiler at 3,700 feet. So once we get a little closer here, we'll go ahead and lower the altitude bug to 3,700 feet. Notice the hold is still, but it's gray now. That's because it's actually the mist coming back around. It would be as you hold it boiler. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring up the approach plate, which you've already loaded. Here's our airplane on it. Okay, we are 3 minutes, so let's go ahead and start dropping altitude. Rather than use the knob, let's type altitude. Let's type 3700. It's really handy for turbulence. So we're going to see the flight director is going to pitch down. The autopilot's going to follow it down to 3,700. There it goes. And we're going to drop down at 500 feet per minute because that's what we have the vertical speed set to. Go ahead and bring back up our regular map. So after boiler, the next step down is at or above 2,100. So once we pass it, we'll adjust the altitude bug to 2,100. We could actually program those in here if we wanted. We could put the altitude bugs there and then put it in vertical flight plan mode, would actually follow those. A little bit of power off here. See what this airport is. Let's Bay. That's a 200-foot call out. So 1 minute 11 seconds. It's going to turn into and go to strict deboueurs. So you can see the flight director wings start turning, and then where the plane is actually the white wings, and they want to stay nestled into the flight director wings. There's Pacific Ocean. Hey, 34 seconds. This is a good time if we want to do a call. We could bring up a flight plan. We're currently 5 minutes and 58 seconds from Newport.
31, full stop, Tillamook.
Airspace ahead.
Okay, there's the turn. Notice the wings, and we're just keeping them right in there.
Airspace ahead.
Sorry, traffic template 1991, B-79 airliner. Currently about 17 miles to the south, inbound, set up for straight in runway 33, Tillamook.
Okay, notice the glide slope, actually, the vertical deviation indicator popped up. So what it's actually going to do, this is when we wanted to lower our altitude bug to the next step down, which is 2100. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave us here because it'll actually fly into the glide slope and then capture it. When it captures it, this should turn from teal to magenta, and it should follow it down, and the tips of the flight director will also turn magenta. The plane then, once it's on the glide slope, it'll follow it down until it gets to the minimum altitude where it'll level off. The Avidyne will automatically go mist, and it'll turn around and it'll bring us back to boiler, but we're going to then go direct back to Dietz Airpark. Let's bring up our approach plate, just kind of double check so we know. Let's brief the mist. Mist approach, climb 600, climbing right turn 37 direct boiler. So that's the reason it's already drawn. And actually the Avidyne will just do that automatically and the autopilot will follow it. So notice we're coming in. It's actually captured it now. It turned magenta on the vertical autopilot status indicator.
VO, Toma.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull some power off. We're going to turn on the boost pump. This is where I would normally fly, probably 110 to 115 knots. Since we don't have any intentional landing, I'm going to leave our speed up a bit. So boost pump's on. Notice it's coupled. The diamond is just centered there. Slow us down a bit more.
Traffic run at 712, 78 miles. For traffic in flight 1991, currently left base, runway 32, Victoria.
Okay, let's bring it up so we can make a call. We're currently 7.6, so we'll call 7 miles in a little bit here. 3 minutes out. Notice it added them all up for us. Newport traffic, RV-402, Romeo Hotel, 7 miles north, inbound, GPS. Newport traffic, RV-402, Romeo Hotel, 6 north, inbound on a GPS, 16 low approach only, Newport. So next leg, 4 seconds.
Final approach.
We're still going pretty fast. Let's pull even more power off. So, currently we're 2,200 feet. We're looking for 420 as our mist altitude. So, 21 for 420. And then once we go mist, it's going to go to take us back out over the ocean. So, it no longer is following the altitude bug. So this is a good chance. So if we bring up our approach plate, what did it say? It said climb to 3,700, right? So let's bring it back up. Let's go ahead and put our altitude to 3,700, and it'll automatically then, once it goes mist, follow the mist up to the right and climb back to 3,700. Okay, 114, that's pretty good speed.
Waypoint.
So we still could be in the clouds. We're looking for 420. We got to have the runway in sight at 420. Go ahead and bring it up. Currently 3.7. Newport traffic, RV-402, Romeo Hotel, 2.5 miles north. GPS 16, low approach only, Newport. So current leg's magenta. Next leg is candy stripe. Notice how it has us going. Give us a little bit more power now.
1,000.
Okay, notice it's turning yellow because we're within 1,000 feet of the ground. Okay, currently 900, looking for 420. Notice the yellow went away. We have it so that if you go, you can set the airspeed. I have it set to 95 knots, so when you're below that, it takes away the terrain warning so it isn't all yellow when you're touching down. Okay, 660, looking for 420.
400.
There, notice that 200 feet below it, I've got a buffer set, so it automatically on the altitude vertical control turned orange. That means because it's starting to level off, so it doesn't overshoot, undershoot the 420. Okay. 420, so right now, we'd have to have the runway in sight. It's pretty low. I'm going to go ahead and, that was actually our 420-foot minimums call.
Missed approach.
Okay, the Avidyne is automatically going missed. I'm feeding the power in.
We have the RNAV traffic in sight. We'll hold on there until you pass. Newport traffic.
And Newport traffic, RV-402 Rumtel is going missed. Okay, got the power back in. Notice it's back to the altitude bug because it turned teal. We're climbing 650, but we're still in lateral nav. It's going to follow the mist now. Going to go out over the ocean. Going to climb to 3,700 and go back to boiler where we can try again. Notice we could have, if we didn't want to fly the autopilot, we could have just followed the flight director the whole way in. We zoom out the map, you see where we're going to go, boiler, and then it's going to put us in a hold at boiler. So this is a good opportunity to decide what we're really going to do. So I'm going to bring the Avidyne, I'm going to bring the cursor to the last point in flight plan. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to put KUAO to go back to Aurora. So I'm going to let it climb a bit, but it's ready to go. Okay, let's go ahead and go direct Aurora. Since we're still in nav mode, move the cursor down, hit direct to, it says Aurora, I'm going to hit enter, activate. I'm going to redraw direct to Aurora. Notice that it immediately turned, there it goes. I'm going to kind of watch this guy who just departed. This should clear him okay. Okay, so let's zoom out. Currently see it's red, so we need to climb higher. Or we could follow the valley up. So what if we were to go, maybe go to, I'm going to hold in on it. That's it here. What if we were to go a little bit to the right, maybe that waypoint right there, woods. So we're still in nav mode, but I'm going to go ahead and hit track mode. This should change to teal, and it's going to go direct to follow this line. Then we don't have to climb so high with the terrain. Notice the flight director's all teal again. The tips are teal because we're going to the altitude bug. The wings are teal because we're following heading bug or the track bug. But our course is still going direct to here. So once we get up here close to woods, it'll turn right. We could also just put that in. Let's go ahead and do that. Move the cursor above Aurora, hit enter, waypoint, and I'm going to put W, O, Woods. It brought it up. See how I particularly did that? Direct, activate Woods. Going to now draw the course line to Woods, and then the next leg will be candy striped. Now we can go back to nav mode, changes to nav mode, and it'll go Woods and then direct to Aurora. Now if we want to decide, let's do the GPS 3.5 back into Aurora. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to Aurora. I'm going to hit procedure. I'm going to go RNAV 3.5 enter, and we're going to go W. So now it's going to go Woods. There's a gap in the route.
2-mile final for runway.
Now we're going to go back to Portland Approach on COM 2. Notice this is white now. If I select COM 2, now we're monitoring COM 2 and it's on 1262 because we're talking on COM 2 and that's the frequency. So that's why it's green now. So we're currently 17.4 miles from Woods and 6 minutes 31 seconds. So we zoom out. We're going to go right over Salem, so we got to do a double check. Let's zoom in on that. Let's check the airspace. So we got to be over 2,700 feet or call them. We're 37, so we should be good. And if we go down to Dubney, they want us to cross Dubney 3,700. So we're all set up. Everything's good. It's a good chance to bring up the approach plate. Let's bring up KUAO approach plates. Let's select 3.5. So first thing we want to do is look at the minimum so we can set it 453. So let's go set minimum altitude 453. I'm going to go ahead and go 450. Okay, we've set the minimums. We're going to missed approach, climb 2,500, direct LUTs and hold. So we've briefed the approach, we've got the minimums. We're 3,700, no PT. So because we're coming in from the south here, we don't really need to do the PT. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say delete the hold in the Avidyne. So that is gone now.
95606, contact
and if we look, notice the hold is gone now. So let's do direct to Woods. Let's hit destination Aurora. So let's go ahead and hit altimeter. That'll automatically set the altimeter to Aurora. Best runway 35. We're going to have a 7-knot headwind.
500.
And let's go ahead and hit COM 1 here, and let's put tower. Now we've got Aurora Tower in COM 1, ready to go. The other thing we can do now is hit frequency, and let's put ATIS in the standby. So we got the tower in primary, ATIS in standby. I'm going to go ahead and put it there. If we wanted to listen to it, we can switch over.
25. Visual approach, runway 35 in use. Advise on initial contact, you have ATIS information, Kilo.
So it's Kilo. And let's switch this back to tower by touching that. Notice it's white because we're still transmitting and listening to COM 2. If we switched it to COM 1, it would turn green, which means it's inactive. I'm going to go ahead and stay on Portland Approach. Okay, 43 seconds to Woods, 1.6 miles. Flight director will turn, the autopilot will follow it. And then it'll go direct to Dubney.
Waypoint.
Okay, there's the waypoint. Flight direct's turning, autopilot's following.
November, radar service terminated, exchange approved, call me on this approach.
Notice this little blue tower, that is the ADSB tower we're picking up traffic and weather from. This guy's 800 feet above us, we'll kind of watch him, 2,200, 2,600 below. So if we wanted to talk to Salem, I'm going to pan up in Salem. Tower is 11. So let's go ahead and push that. Tower loads it into COM 2 from here. I'm going to go ahead and switch it. So now we're listening and talking to Salem Tower.
53516 Salem Tower, straight and runway 31, report 2 mile funnel.
We'll listen, we'll talk to him until we get kind of out of his space, and then we'll go back to Portland Approach. Notice how you can actually see in the synthetic vision here the Salem runways and the Salem flag for the airport.
Yeah, 516 is about a 3 mile. 516, runway 31, clear to land. 31, clear to land, 516.
Notice this, that's traffic right there. He's 5 miles away from us and he's descending. You can see a little arrow to the right. See him over here. That's the same traffic. If it was a threat, it would be a circle and we'd get an audio alert. You saw the different airports on the synthetic vision here. Aurora's blue because it's Class D airspace controlled with a tower. And these are uncontrolled, so they're magenta. Notice on the autopilot indicator, it's green because it's enabled, and it's AP and YD. The YD is yaw damper. This plane has a yaw damper, so if we wanted to turn it off, I could bring it up and hit yaw. Now it's off. You can feel the ball slip a bit, and notice just the autopilot's on, but the yaw damper's not. Go ahead and turn it back on. There it's all the way up. There it's back on. It's green. You can kind of feel it kick back in. So that's how you can tell the autopilot and the yaw damper are both on. Okay, we're 2 minutes 54 seconds to dub me where it's going to turn. We want to be at 3700. So that's good. Let's go ahead and bring up our approach plate and look at it. Yep, here we come in.
Grumman 1906 Juliet, Salem ground clear to Aurora Airport via Salem 4 departure, then as filed. Fly heading 340, maintain 4000, departure frequency 125.8, block 4713.
So, dub me, 3700, cross high tack at 2500. So after we pass dub me, we're going to put the altitude mode at 2500 for the next step.
Grumman 906 Juliet, runway 34 taxi via Charlie.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch COM 1. Notice it turns green now because we're on Aurora.
-05, altimeter 3025. Visual approach, runway 35 in use. Advise on initial contact, you have AS information, Kilo.
So now it's Kilo. We're back to the Aurora Tower. It's green because we're on audio panels on COM 1 transmitting. So 12035 is Aurora Tower and Kilo. So we want to remember Kilo. Okay, double check, autopilot, let's bring it up. We are VNAV armed, it's yellow, so that means it'll follow the glide slope, so we're good.
Waypoint.
Waypoint, inbound we go. Dubney, so we want to go down to 2500 now. As you can see here, across high tack 2500, it's at 2500. This is where we want to start thinking about slowing down a bit. That's a good question, how far out are we? Current next waypoint high tack is 4 miles away. Bring up the whole thing. We're 12 miles from the airport, 4 minutes, 23 seconds. So we're going to really pull some power here. Notice the green banana is beyond high tack. So I'm going to hit V-speed and I'm going to increase it to 700 feet a minute. And that brings it in so we'll be where we want to be.
The taxiway Alpha. Departure frequency will be Portland 126.0. Block code 4642.
We still aren't going to be over it a bit, but it's slowing down. I think it's coming in now. Okay, we're on COM 1. Transmit, Aurora Tower. We're going to go ahead and call them.
November Victory, read that correct, except runway 35 via Alpha.
Aurora Tower, RV-402 Romeo Hotel, just coming up on high tack with Kilo. Would like to do a low approach and then off to Dietz Airpark.
RV-402 Romeo Hotel, I believe it is. Report a 5 mile final, runway 30.
We'll report a 5 mile final for 35, and it is 402 Romeo Hotel. Okay, 5 mile final. Okay, we've slowed down a bit. We can turn on the boost pump. Mixture rich. We just made it. 2,500 feet at the waypoint. Okay, notice the glide slope's there, and it's already coupled it. Notice it turned magenta there.
RV-2 Romeo Hotel, actually runway 35. 5 mile final, runway 35.
5 mile final, 35 for 2 Romeo Hotel. Okay, notice it's captured. All we got to do is sit here and manage the power. I'm going to put 1 notch. Take the flaps out of reflex into trail. We've breathed the mist. We're looking for 450, so we're 2,300 looking for 450. You have to have the runway in sight. Still going pretty fast. I'm going to pull some more power. Boost pumps on. Landing lights are on. I'm going to go ahead and move at the end while we have time here. Enter. I'm going to put OR40, enter, so that it's ready to go. We don't have to fumble with that when we go missed here. So, 1900, looking for 450. And it's coupled. Notice the tips are magenta now. Flight director.
Final
RV-402
approach.
Romeo Hotel, runway 35, cleared low approach.
402 Romeo Hotel, cleared low approach, 35. Okay. 5 mile final. He called us before, so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Notice it said 5 miles on
Aurora State Tower, life flight 04, information Kilo, 10 miles to the north. Inbound for landing at the life flight ramp.
Flight 04, make right traffic, runway 35, report to midfield right down for taxiway Alpha.
Life flight 04, we'll tell you midfield for right down.
Continue to slow down. Okay, 1260 for 450. So that
2 Romeo Hotel, and after your low approach, you want to right turn to Dietz?
affirmative for 2 Romeo Hotel, right turn to Dietz. Just keep slowing down. We're within 1,000 feet of the ground. We're at 1,000 feet, looking for 450, which is only 200 feet above the ground. Okay, we're doing 107 knots. This is pretty good. Flap extend speed in this plane is 90.
Waypoint.
I normally don't put the flaps out until I'm out of the clouds. Okay, 760, looking for 450. That 500 call-out's from the Avidyne. And when we get 150 feet, you'll hear the radar altimeter start calling it out. Two knots, 400, that's from the Avidyne.
Flight 4, got traffic departing, he's going to head back towards Dietz. Do me a favor, cross the extended departure and make left traffic for runway 35, please.
Okay, minimums, we got 200 feet above it. It started to pull back on our vertical speed, so it didn't overshoot the 450.
Sorry about the air step down.
There's the minimums.
Make a right turn, cross the departure.
There's the runway.
Departure end of runway 35. Make a right turn.
And it's going to go back to 2,500 feet now.
35, right towards Dietz.
So we're going to put some power into her.
Flight 04, roger that, crossing just north of the river and entering left traffic.
Thank you.
So now I've switched it back to the track rather than just go straight to Dietz.
63, Yankee Hotel.
Okay, we're 800 feet now.
Leave and hold inbound.
Now we can turn right.
Report leave and hold inbound. RV-2 Romeo Hotel, right turn east approved.
Turning right, 2 Romeo Hotel. Thanks for the help tonight.
Aurora Tower, Skyhawk 734 November Victor, ready to depart 35 southbound.
Aurora Tower, Skyline 8191 Golf, 2,500.
Okay, I want to go ahead and stop at 1200.
Inbound for full stop taxi back and in touch it goes.
I'm going to hit direct 2. I'm going to go ahead and hit Unicom. Put it into the standby. I'm going to put pattern altitude and set the altitude bug.
For takeoff 734.
And best runway is 34. If I touch that now, it automatically put the lead in arrows 434.
Aurora Tower, Skyline 8191 Golf, 2,600.
So we're in their airspace. I could request a frequency change, or I could just wait until we cross the blue line there.
Skyline 8191 Golf for Aurora Tower. Make left traffic going 35, report to midfield left down. Left traffic 35, we'll report midfield downwind 8191 Golf.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch frequencies because we're out of his airspace. 1227. Now we're going to turn right downwind. We'll make a call. Notice it draws there. Dietz Airpark traffic, RV-402 Romeo Hotel. Turning left downwind, landing 34, Dietz Airpark. Okay. Boost pump still on. Start slowing down. Okay, we'll really pull some power now. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the flight director. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the autopilot by pushing the stick.
Autopilot disengaged.
Dietz Airpark traffic, RV-402 Romeo Hotel, turn in the left, base 34, Dietz Airpark. Okay, we got to get below 90 knots so we get some flaps down. That beeping is the AOA.
Caution. Terrain. Caution. Terrain.
And we clear out the air by doing direct 2.
500.
Enter, activate. Okay, let's get below 90.
400.
Zoom in on. Dietz traffic, RV-402 Romeo Hotel, turn and final 340, Dietz Airpark.
300.
Okay, we're 300 feet above the ground. We're below 90. Let's put some flaps down. Okay, we're looking for 75 knots. Go ahead and trim. And Dietz traffic, RV-2 Romeo Hotel's low or short final 340, Dietz Airpark. Okay. Now those numbers you're hearing, call-outs, that's the radar altimeter.
70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 7, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There we go. And we're back. Pump off.